Dan here. Some of you might know me from the Sanctum Squad, doing a little guest upload onto Andre's channel. Thanks very much for having me. Some of you might know me from the TYS podcast. I promise that it's coming back at some point. So I know that a lot of people have been focused on the Blue Eyes deck that's coming out, and I've seen quite a few profiles of people talking about budget lists and alternative engines and things like that. And I've been playing the deck with Primite and doing pretty well with it. But I actually just wanted to take like a kind of more of a pure version to see how far that could get me, and I actually went undefeated at locals with this. It's a list that I've been testing for a little while, so I'll just get into it and with a few thought processes on why some of my ratios are. So let's get into the profile. So just to start, we've got the Blue Eyes monsters themselves. We've got 2 vanillas. This is pretty standard just because of Bestials, and 1 Jet Dragon. This is something that people are coming into, they're starting to cotton onto it a bit more. The reason I played it in this list was just because we're not playing Primites, I'm playing 2 Raw, and I wanted to have a little bit extra utility for it. And this card's actually insane. It's kind of like a Garunix. Whenever a card's destroyed, it summons itself from hand or grave. Other cards can't be destroyed by card effects while it's in the field, so it protects things like your True Light Pop. And then anytime it battles, it just non-target and returns the cards to hand. So yeah, I think this is really good. I'm probably going to try it in the Primite version, to be honest. And then 3 Neo Kaiser Seahorse. Now, I've seen a lot of people like talk about this card and like not play it and opt to play other things like Invoked cards or like Fiendsmith cards or something. And this is like my biggest gripe with budget lists. It's like people are just putting money into engines that are just climbing in price, whereas you can get 3 of this in the structure deck. It actually just furthers you into your engine as opposed to getting you just something like a Mechaba that doesn't actually, contribute to your Blue Eyes game plan. And then if you've got that extra like spare cash lying around, you can use that for like staples and things like that. This card just actually opens up like a load of really cool lines. It being like a free body you can spec down, you can use it to chain block the Link 1. Yeah, this card's really cool. I actually once made the hard made the ultimate spree with it, which was pretty funny. So yeah. And then just standard stuff, 3 Maiden, 3 Sage. Yeah, nothing really much to talk about here. These cards are insane. And then just for the other starters, we've got 3 Wishes. This is pretty standard. I did play 2 Bingo as well. I wanted this deck to have as many versions of starters as the Primite deck, because obviously that's a big plus of the Primite cards is that you have 15 1-card starters. This deck has 14, but this card is kind of weird because it's only really a starter that gets you Wishes. And this is like super real big ash bait, but you can do things like get Raw and Majesty off it because you play like a higher level of Blue Eyes traps. And also playing Bingo means that Wish is more live, because sometimes in the Primite version you'll have cases where you can't activate this because you've been through all the other traps that mention Blue Eyes. But because you're playing this, say you've already been through a Raw or a Majesty, you can just search this and then just search a Maiden or a Sage or whatever and get your plays back online. So yeah. You can play 3 of this if you want to. I think it's overkill personally, but you could also just play a Pot of Prosperity as well. And then just for the other Blue Eyes stuff, we've got 2 Raw, 1 Mausoleum, and the traps, pretty standard stuff. I think 2 Raw is mandatory if you're not playing Primite, because the best thing about the Primite cards is that they get you into the vanilla to turn things on, like your Maiden of White, your Majesty trap, whatever else. And this card is just really important as well. For getting things like the Jet Dragon, and the Fuse effect is really good as well. It's also a way of playing through hand traps, so yeah, too many good things to say about Raw. All the other stuff's standard, so I'm not going to go into it. And then just for the non-engine, we played 3 Nibiru, 3 Bestials. I think no matter what version of Blue Eyes you're playing, you should at least play Magnum up because it just searches your 1-card starter. 3 Fuelos. Now, I know people are going to be looking at this as like a budget profile, and I know this card currently is expensive, but it has been confirmed in the Rarity Collection. So if you do want to play it, you can just grab a cheaper version there. And to be honest, this isn't mandatory. There were actually a lot of times when I saw this and I just wished it was like a Ghost Ogre or a Droll or like even a Talons or something like that. So this can kind of be whatever it is you want it to be. And the same with the Druid's Worm, to be honest. But I will say that the Bestials in particular, even if you're just playing like Saronir or Baldrake over these in case you can't get hold of Druid's Worms, they're just super good for some extra deck slots. And then the other 12, these are all included in your structure deck, so I feel like you might as well just play them. Yeah, so in terms of like your ratios, it's the same as Primite, 18 non-engine, near enough the same amount of 1-card starters, and yeah, it's just like, obviously it's not as volatile because you don't have access to like Drill Beam and things like that, but I think it's still fine enough if you just open the 3 structure decks and you've just got like some staples lying around and you just want to give Blue Eyes a crack. And then for the extra deck, Neo Ultimate and Tyrant, I've been messing around with 2 of this because I actually really like this card. I think the fact that this can just reset things like Majesty and any other traps you want to play in your side deck is just so unfair. And this is just really good at ending games as well. So you could play 2 of this. I did see Pack was playing 2 of this. So it's up to you. The one ultimate, like I said, you can actually hard make this with Kaiser Seahorse, which is obviously probably not optimal, but part of the reason I chose to play this version of the deck was because I wanted to have a little bit more fun and like test how good the pure V or Blue Eyes deck was. And this was really, just really felt like a big anime moment, to be honest. Just summoning the big 3-headed dragon, having it stick around, yeah. Again, you can play 2 of this if you want to, but I don't really think you need to. Chaos Angel, this card's so good with Kaiser Seahorse and the Bestials, but again, I understand this is like a £15-20 card, so you could just play like Dispatter, Chen Ying, anything like that. But I do think this card's super important for getting over things that are just really sticky, like random like boss monsters that are over like 4,000 for some reason. Azure, you play this because Detonator is a card still, and one of the things that people were doing really early in this deck's life was they were going double Spirit and then making the Stars of Cypher and the Ultimate Dragon, and the Stars of Cypher was given the protection. You actually achieve pretty much the same thing by just going into these 2. Just because like this, until the end of the next turn, dragons you control can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, so this doesn't die off the Spirit Float, and you get the Reborn as well. So yeah, I think every variant should be playing this year as well. Double Spirit, pretty standard. Lightstorm, this card should have been in the structure deck. I don't know why it was a common in Supreme Darkness, but this card's so insane. When you cut this, you really notice it. And yeah, not enough good things to say about Lightstorm Dragon. This is the MVP of the entire extra deck. I really love this card. This card is like just so good with the Bestials, because if you make this with the Drew's Worm and Sage, you just clear 2 of their bodies, and it just feels like so good. There was even a point when I was playing against my last round opponent, shout out to Matt, that I made this with a set Fualos and an Ash because I bricked. Obviously that's really situational, but I just think it is kind of funny. And floating into this off Spirit is still pretty decent as well. And then just for the extra deck, Typhon. Again, I understand this card is maybe a little bit expensive. At the time of doing this profile, we don't have any reveals for Rarity Collection 4, so this could be in there, I don't know. If it's not, just play whatever else you want to. You could play like a Hope Harbinger or something like that. Meteorologic, just because we're siding the Slayer. And then for the links, Hieratic Seal. I'm currently trying 3 of the Link 1. I felt like because I was playing more Kaiser Seahorse, I'd maybe need like 3 more. Well, 3 overall. But to be honest, I never really did. And this is like the flex that I was trying. Like I mentioned, I was trying out 2 Tyrants. I tried SP Little Knight as well. So this is like really all up to personal preference. Maybe 2 Seals could be good as well. Side deck, just got your Malice Insurance, Lancia. I kind of hate this format because you have to play with like a 12-card side deck because of Lancia, but it's whatever. Going second, Harpies and Lightning Storm. This goes in against everything. It's even good against Ryzeal because just clearing the cross, and it just means it's so much easier to out their Detonator. And obviously, it's just generic really good stuff. Speaking of Detonator hate, we've got 3 Ultimate Slayer. That was another point about this deck because it can actually play like all of the cards to give this as much utility as possible. I did think about playing something like Malong or whatever, but I just felt like you could just send any other synchro really. You didn't need to be extra with it. And if you're going against something weird like Branded, you can just send a Neo Ultimate and you've got your protection. Going first cards, we've got 2 triple tax and a Call by the Grave. Yeah, this is also like okay going second, but really it's just utility for going first as well with the last 3, the Solemn Judgments. I was playing Strikes as well. This is always all up to personal preference. I always say this about side decks. But yeah, so just talking about the Blue Eyes cards just a little bit more. I think this is actually like probably the strongest sort of structure deck we've had in such a long time. I actually think that if you play a variant like this, you can definitely do really well at locals. Like I say, I went 4-0, I played against Malice, Ancient Gear. That deck's actually real, by the way. Hero and White Forest in the finals. And I've been testing this with the rest of the Sanctum squad. So like it's put the hours in. I haven't just slapped together like 3 structure decks. I've actually tried to do this so it's a build where if you have those extra staples, you can just pick up 3 structure decks, try it out, maybe take it to like a local or a regional and see what you can do. Obviously, the Primite stuff is like way stronger, and I'm not saying that this is a better version than the Primite deck at all, but I don't think that just because you don't have Primite cards, you should be wasting money on cards like Alistair the Invoker because it's 2025. Stop summoning Alistair. This is just way better. So yeah, thanks very much to Andre for allowing me to put this on the channel. Shout outs to the Sanctum Squad as always. We've got the boys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.